welcome to today's episode of GirlExec. I'm Isha and I'm joined by my great friend Kristy. Today's episode is receiving feedback. They say that feedback is a gift, but it doesn't always feel like it when we receive it. And for most people, it can be hard to hear, at least at first. If you've ever done it, you also know that giving feedback is not an easy process either. And most people will only provide feedback to us if we allow them to feel comfortable while doing it. Our true openness to receiving, internalizing, and acting on honest and constructive feedback, however, directly correlates to how fast, far, and well we can develop in our career, and honestly in life. So today we want to share 5 tips that have helped us to accept, digest, and action feedback we've received in our careers, no matter how painful the sting at first.
So the first step is focus on the message and not the messenger. Often receiving feedback can feel like a judgment. And as humans, we're naturally wired to defend ourselves. So internally, we could often revert to the centuries-old statement, well, who are you to judge me? And look at what you do and how you do it, etc. By turning things around to the other person, we begin to rationalize why the feedback the person is giving may not be true or may be unfair. And in the process, honestly, we lose our gift. It may be true that the person giving you the feedback is not perfect. Honestly, probably 100% of the time, because we're all humans. But your benefit is to focus on the message and not the messenger. So do not defend yourself in the moment. This will honestly shut down any further feedback from this source. Try not to respond to the feedback in terms of your acceptance or not in any way during the meeting with your words or body language. Just work hard on really hearing the words without judgment or filter so you could digest them later.
Chris, the second tip is to ensure that you've understood and summarize it back to them. You talked about really listening. So first thing is pause and breathe. But from there, we recommend 1 of 2 approaches. If you are calm and mindful enough in the moment, rather than use your brain space to argue or deny or try to form a response to the person, really listen actively. Ask for examples. Ask for additional perspective, because you have to truly make sense of what they've said. Summarize back what you heard to be the main gist of the conversation at the end. But the second option is, if you're honestly not ready to enter into this yet, based on your emotions, it's okay. Just say, thank you for the feedback. I'm going to take some time to reflect on it, and I may follow up with you with some additional questions. But make sure that you do this step afterward. The point is, it makes sense for you to have the clarity you need to take action. And please keep things in perspective. One area that somebody tells you need to work on does not negate everything that you are and all the ways in which you shine from day to day.
The third step is take time to reflect on what was shared. Again, if you may have processed a little bit in the moment with that individual, but take this time. I find that within 1 day of receiving feedback, the emotions start to die down, and I could really focus on what was said with a more clear heart and mind. Ask yourself these questions. If I remove ego and emotion, how can this be true? What is it that they're saying that really I might be doing? And what ways could people have the perception that this is true? And what things can I grow, adjust, or do more or less of in myself to grow in these areas? And also, what is the consequence if I ignore this feedback? Through reflecting and asking yourself these questions, it usually opens us up to the acceptance necessary to take the nugget and gift that is being offered, to accept the part of the feedback that can help us regardless of the source.
Absolutely, Chris. All of this understanding, this reflecting, comes down to the 4th step. Action the feedback. How and if you act on the feedback shared with you is 100% your choice. But as you decide to move forward, realize that changing anything about ourselves, it takes planning. It takes intention. Whether it's a hairstyle or if it's the way that we work with others, the way that we communicate, we have to make a plan against it. So whatever the feedback, consider what will you actually do to act on it, at what frequency, and with what strategy to measure your progress. I'll give a few examples that we have used in the past. If you're working to improve your communication, perhaps find a trusted peer at work who will allow you to share your presentations with them ahead of time, one-to-one, before you share with the group, to give you tips on how to strengthen them. Or ask a peer who regularly attends your meetings to give you a quick 3 to 5 minute debrief after the big team meeting, to ask how you came across or how your messages came through. If you're working to improve the level at which you ask for support or help from others, if you're working on that vulnerability piece, set yourself a target. How many times will you ask someone for help each month or each week? And if you're working to strengthen your capability in a certain area through classes or study, maybe there's something in the industry that you need to get up to speed on. How many classes will you complete per month? How many hours will you spend researching the topic? And a key tip here is make sure these things are on your calendar, just as if they were another meeting. For me, what's on the calendar is what happens. So schedule and prioritize your development. It makes it a true priority in your planning.
That is critical because we often leave ourselves last when it comes to development. So that point is critical. When I look at the 5th step, we all learn growing up. If you receive a gift, you say thank you. So our 5th step is follow up and share updates on your progress. And, once you've heard that message, you've reflected, you've mapped your action plan, you follow up with those who've given you feedback to thank them. The best way to continue to receive useful feedback and to show your maturity and growth is to transparently let people know what you've heard from them and how you're taking action. Of course, you could show them more than you could tell them. So the act of making a meaningful change will showcase your decision. To be honest, just the act of making this feedback loop is likely to increase the perception of maturity, vulnerability, and focus on development that you have seen as an employee, peer, and leader.
So Chris, as we close, and as we've said, sharing feedback is not easy, and receiving it can be even tougher. But it truly is a gift. Open your mind and your heart to hear what people have to say and that they take time to share with you and use it to your benefit. And as always, please subscribe to GirlExec and share with others conversations to enrich your career and life.